Welcome to the Guitar Dads Podcast, a podcast for guitar people by guitar dads. This week, no purple rain in the forecast. Billy Corgan is purposely keeping something from the fans. The bots are out to get concert goers. And did we actually need another version of this pedal? It's Germanium this week on the Guitar Dads Podcast. Now, along with the principal of summer school, it's the dudes who pretty much give you the same boring and not updated version each week, Matt and Dave.
Hello, everybody. I'm Matt.
And I'm Dave, and I finally got a real laugh out of Matt for once. What has it been, like 6 months?
You have. It was a funny intro.
All right.
Today.
Well,
for once.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for checking us out. Thank you to our listeners who check us out every week. And if you're new, thanks for hanging out. Hope you come back next week. If you like the pod, please, review it, rate it, all that stuff. Subscribe, you know the drill. You hear it everywhere. And you know where you can find us at Guitar Dads Podcast on Instagram, and come join the Facebook group at Guitar Dads Podcast as well, on X, on YouTube, and on Patreon. If you want some extra content, you know where to go. Patreon.com/Guitar Dads Podcast, where you can get an extra, like a bonus episode, right, dude?
Bonus episode every
week. So
if you want to hear more of this craziness,
then you're in trouble.
Come join
us. We are really happy to be joined by a friend of the show, a super cool dude and pedal builder, Mark Turley. He is the dude from, him, Summer School Electronics. I'm sure everybody who listens to this pod knows Summer School. But Mark, thanks for hanging out. And we had you on the show back in January, I think. And so I think tonight is like, we're just going to hang out, have you in on the show and talk gear and have some fun. But why don't you give the listeners who didn't get to hear that episode a quick rundown as to who you are?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm Mark, and I'm a teacher by day and pedal builder by every other hour that I'm not in school. I like to tell everybody that this is my COVID hobby that got out of control. I'm just going to start building some pedals and have some fun and learn how to do this. And as I learn, I was like, I'll put some up and see if anybody wants to buy one. And they sold, and we made more, and it kind of got out of control. And now it's become like a second full-time job. So, that's the super short version. Now we're going to pedal shows and doing all this different stuff and going all over the country for things and selling internationally. Awesome. And it's gotten crazy.
That's so great, Mark.
Yeah, it just took off, man.
Yeah, man. So tell it. So just shout it out. SummerSchoolElectronics.com. Is that the website?
Yep. SummerSchoolElectronics.com.
SummerSchoolElectronics.com. So Mark was on, like we talked about, he was on a little bit earlier in the year, and we talked all about it. So go check that episode out. Also, Mark was on the JHS show as a featured guest. So if you really want to take a deep dive in some of his pedals, go check that out. And you can hear him being played by the man himself, Josh. So
yeah, that was
super fun. And it's been kind of crazy for you. I mean, it was crazy. You were getting really busy prior to that, but I'm sure that made you pretty busy.
Oh yeah, I will say JHS as a company, and Josh specifically, has been so helpful to our business and just me as a teacher. We talk about it on that episode on how his involvement with the Songbirds Museum got a bunch of guitars for my guitar club at school, and
that's right.
He didn't have to do that. That was crazy. And so
no.
Yeah, it was awesome. They're just so helpful on so many different levels.
Yeah, it's really great to see someone who's at the level that he's at kind of paying it forward the way he has, not only to small companies, but like you said, for kids and just for the greater guitar good is what I call it. Right. And he's definitely
absolutely.
One of those, he's one of those guys, and it's just incredible. So it's great. Yeah.
Definitely a leader in the industry, and a lot of other people have also pitched in and just given advice or offered to help with different things. everybody at Earthquaker has been super helpful. Zach at Mythos has been helpful.
Nice. Who was
You
on
looked
the
up
show last
Coyote.
week, everybody?
Last week.
Yeah, great episode.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
But yeah, man, that's kind of been
Yeah,
our
Zach's another cool
story
dude.
happening real fast.
That's awesome, man. That's great. So yeah, everybody
Yeah,
go
we
check
can-
it out. We'll
Yep.
talk some more about Mark's pedals, but it's cool stuff. Go check it out, everybody. But
And
what
we
do we
talk
think,
about it
Dave?
all the time, but like with this industry, is like how many cool, like everybody, it's not like you would think with all this competition, it would, there'd be some kind of like, it's just a big community and everybody's out there for each other. And it's,
The
nobody's really in it for themselves. And those who are, we know who they are. And otherwise it's just a big, cool community,
do.
which we're very happy to be a part of.
the best way it was explained to me was like it's a niche community within a niche community, and
Yes.
people view pedals like baseball cards, and they're like, you don't want one baseball card, you want all the baseball cards.
You want all of them.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and it, like you'd have your favorite brands or your favorite types of effects, but like if you had the ability, you'd take all the pedals. Like you know
That's
what I
right.
mean?
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's what's so great, and that's where we're at right now, which everybody always calls the golden age of guitar, right? Like that's just where we are. It's unbelievable. Golden age of guitar gear, maybe not
Oh, yeah.
necessarily guitar itself, but you would argue guitar itself as well. You could make that argument. And it's amazing. And it's like, let's just hope it continues for as long as possible.
Yeah, right.
Because it's just, this all kind of, but it builds on itself, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at the same time, right? There's a lot of excitement and passion about this. People are helping each other out, and it builds on itself. So, yeah.
I will say there is something about it, like even from the teacher side of me and doing our guitar club at school, like
Yeah.
our club is for middle school, so it's like 6th, 7th, 8th graders, and like
Yeah.
there are kids. We had like one kid who he played trumpet, and then he was like, I want to learn how to do this. It's like, okay, yes, we play guitar, and then he showed up with like all of his buddies from the soccer team, and they were like, yeah, we want to learn. I'm like, well, have you ever played guitar at all? They're like, no. I'm like, do you know any guitar songs? They're like, no, but it looks cool, so we want to learn. And then
Well,
like
awesome.
it does look cool.
and then they show up a
That's
week
so
later
great.
and they're like, I heard this song on TikTok. Can you teach me how to play? And I'm like, yes,
Oh,
how's
that's
it
great.
spirit? I know how to play that. Yes, I can teach you that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Like
So
there is
that,
just
like, that's,
something cool and timeless
Yeah.
about it.
yeah. So you're doing it, Mark. You're getting the next generation of guitar nuts, gear nerds.
We're trying.
You're doing it. You're doing it. It's amazing.
I mean,
it's so
they're-
great to see.
It's cool because, like I said, they are genuinely interested as like players, but also
Yeah.
like they're into it as fans. Like if there'll be times where, I'll play like a classic rock song that they've never heard, but there's something clicks, and they're just like, "Oh, what's that about?" And like,
That's cool.
I'll bring in
Yeah.
the pedal board and I'll bring in my electric and be like, "Guys, just push buttons and hit switches and twist knobs," and they were like, "What? That's a fuzz pedal? You can do that?" I'm like, yeah,
What is
like-
that? That's so
"Yeah."
cool.
They
Yeah,
start
yeah.
getting super into it.
I'm
So
going to
it's
say
great.
this, and Dave's going to get upset at me. I'm going to say, and Dave's going to get pissed off at me. But it's so much. That is so much more exciting and better than like, here's a classical guitar and play and like pick out some like shit nobody cares about on this, or not nobody cares about, nothing that they can relate to or care about on this guitar, right? And like so much of that happens. Basically, what I'm getting at is acoustic is boring and electric is where it's at. So
no, acoustic is not boring.
I
Acoustic
mean,
is not boring. It's just not as exciting as electric. But
see, I
it's
told you
not
Dave's going to
boring.
get all fired up. Look, it isn't.
it's a hot take, but I like it.
Sometimes it's good. Sometimes
a hot
boring
take.
is good. I kind of stole
Hold
that
on. Let's
sentiment.
tell the listeners the quick rundown of this. Matt made his career in playing acoustic gigs,
True.
solo acoustic gigs.
Yeah, my career. Yeah. The millions rolled in playing bar gigs, playing Dave Matthews covers in bars. Yeah.
And here I
He
am.
discovered, and here he is. And then when he discovered electric, he put his acoustic aside for years. He just sold his
Yeah.
electric not more than 6
My
weeks
acoustic,
ago, and
my Taylor.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
his acoustic, and not more than 6 weeks ago, he's already looking to buy another acoustic.
Well,
Because
so
he-
this is true.
He
This
misses
is-
it that bad.
This is true, but this is why I miss it now, because my
See?
daughter went away to sleepaway camp. My daughter is 14.
Yeah, blame the kids.
It is. It's her fault. And she went away to sleepaway camp. And apparently, this camp that she goes to, all the counselors bring acoustics and they sit around and they play Noah Khan and who's the other dude? Zach Bryan. Is that the guy? Yeah, I don't know. He's a popular acoustic guy now. And they play all these tunes, and she's like, "Oh, that's awesome! I really want to learn how to play guitar now." She's been playing ukulele for a while, and she's like, "Oh, I think I can do this. Doesn't look that hard." And her birthday was earlier in the month, and she's like, "Can you buy me an acoustic guitar?" I'm like, "You don't have to ask me twice."
Yeah, right.
So see, and here's where the argument doesn't make any more sense. So you're going to buy another acoustic after claiming acoustic sucks. Argument over.
It does suck, and it's boring. It doesn't suck, but it's I didn't say it sucks. I said it's boring, but sometimes boring is good, right?
Oh, sometimes
it's like you want to be a little bored, and it's fine.
Mark, should we give him another shovel, or is he okay with the one he has?
I mean, he thinks he hit rock bottom. You can toss him a jackhammer. I'm sure he'll keep going. He'll find more down there.
Sometimes it's good, right? Yeah. Anyway,
all right. It has its place. It's enjoyable. Personally, I would rather play electric. I started on electric, and then I was like, I need acoustic, like to play these certain types of songs, or to go when you're playing some outside somewhere where there isn't electricity. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I do prefer electric.
You live. You live in upstate where there's a lot of storms and maybe you lose power. That's what it is.
I get it.
You need to play something.
Although I do love that.
Yes, I am in the market for another acoustic guitar, but I'm kind of intrigued by Gibson acoustics now. I had a Taylor. I kind of fell out of love with it. And Gibson acoustics, I'm like, oh, those look cool. So I don't know.
Well, let's save this for the gear section.
All right,
gentlemen. We should get into some news, and then we can jump right into the gear afterwards.
All right, let's do it,
Matt. Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Ludicrous speed.
All right.
Here we
well, we have as we do in the show. Whenever there's bad news, we always bring this up first and get that out of the way. We should talk about the death of John Mayall. Right. I mean, legend. Some people don't even know who he is and don't even realize how much he influenced you. So,
yeah.
Matt, what can you say?
Well, I mean, that John Mayall and the Blues Breakers album was just, it's iconic. It basically started a whole guitar sound. And now it's, the Blues Breaker sound is just the sound that everybody wants. And some of the most iconic pedals are based around it. I mean, you could argue, well, that was really Clapton, wasn't John Mayall. But, it was John Mayall that brought this all together and that did this.
Right. So, yeah, that's right. He's the one that brought the whole thing together. So,
yeah, just iconic. I mean, he was really old. So, it's sad. Yes. Mark, what a tribute I just made.
What a tribute, Matt. Can you clean that up for us, Mark?
Well, I mean, we're full of hot topics today and hot takes on everything.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, honestly, I'm in that camp where I just Googled who that was while you were talking about it.
Oh no,
that was not my scene.
There wasn't look, that's fine. Yeah, I love that perspective, actually, Mark.
So talk to me like I'm stupid. Bring me up to speed.
Yeah, Dave, do it.
Oh, you want me to do it? Well, no, I mean John Mayer was like the kind of the
no, not John Mayer, John Mayall.
Not John Mayall. Sorry, not John Mayer.
That I do know who he is.
You know who John Mayer is? He's
John Mayall was like the kind of the start of like the British blues sound, and
yeah, he was. That's right.
And he kind of brought together a lot of these guys like Clapton and who else was Blues Breakers.
So right. John Mayall, John Mayall really pulled together. There's this iconic album called John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, and it's really an iconic kind of British blues. The British blues explosion kind of thing.
Kind of,
and it was he was one of the kind of early guys in that. bringing kind of, Clapton was somewhat popular then. I think I don't know all the history. Someone that knows the history
I don't know if he
better.
was.
I think he was only like 18, 19 when he joined that band. I don't know the whole anthem. I'm not enough of a Clapton freak to know like his whole history of the anthology of exactly when he was in which band. But he was really young, and John Mayall was obviously a little bit older than him and pulled him in, and really kind of saw his potential and made this incredible what has become an iconic album, an iconic sound, right? So if you JHS, speaking of Josh, JHS did like a whole thing about the Blues Breaker circuit, and he talks about that album and the the Blues Breaker amp that's used and all that. So, but this was the guy. This was the guy that started it. Yeah,
I was familiar with the amp, but the whole just genre era of like British blues like that just I never had that phase of like, oh, I'm gonna get sued. So I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's sad, but I didn't really know who it was. So
yeah. No, I think that's a great take, because like I think we like like there's like this I don't know what we call it, Dave, but Dave and I sometimes talk about this where like there's this set, you could call it like boomerism, where it's like you're just expected to know this stuff, and it's like, what do you mean you don't know John Mayall? What the hell are you talking? Well, there's a lot of people that don't. It's like you said, like that just wasn't part of your kind of musical experience. Like totally get it,
of course,
But
what I meant when I said like,
I don't know, I wasn't suggesting you were saying that, Dave. I'm just saying there's an attitude out there that's like that. Yeah.
But people, and I didn't know who he was until I got into this whole guitar thing. But he really, if you read about him in the history, even if you don't know who he has totally influenced you in your music journey in some capacity.
I'm sure,
and that's just the way it is. So, it's just he's just like a legendary guy in music history, and I think. It's we owe a lot to him, and again, I much like you, Mark, at first when I didn't know who he was at the beginning of all, when I got into all this, but reading about him and ever since his death as well, getting a little bit more history and delving deeper, he's really like he's kind of on like the Mount Rushmore of British rock, British blues,
Yep, definitely. So it's actually it's Clapton pre-Cream. So Clapton was in this band before he started Cream. So there you go.
Well, we've just taken a sad thing and turned it into a happy history lesson.
Turn it into a happy thing.
It's a nice little tribute. There you go.
The British blues. There's the real tribute for you. There you go.
Hold on, guys. Don't get too happy too fast. I got one more sad note to bring up. Slash had to unfortunately announce, and since the announcement, we have now learned why. But Slash last week had announced a couple of dates that he was canceling on the Serpent tour.
Yeah,
this which we're going to see tour that he's been doing, which we're going to see next week. And
wait, it's next week? No, 2 weeks.
I think it's next week. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Next week.
Shit. Okay. All right.
There you go.
Well, look at my calendar. Jeez.
But he had originally made the announcement due to unforeseen circumstances. These dates are going to be canceled. But we have found out since then that his stepdaughter has passed away. There's very little info in regards to how she died. I don't think the family probably wants people to understand or know. But she, unfortunately, I think she was only 25, so she has passed away. And so Slash needed to take some time for his family.
Yeah. I think they're actually. I don't think it's technically his stepdaughter, Dave, but whatever. That's like splitting hairs at this point.
Oh well, yeah,
so,
yeah.
I don't think he's married to Megan, but anyway, Megan, whatever her name is. So anyway,
yeah. But
Slash is smart. He's not going to get married again. He got taken to the cleaners a few times.
Yeah. Welcome to the jungle.
Welcome.
So yeah,
that's right. He's estranged from anyone. He used to love her. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
How many other?
Hold the nose up on that one too. What can't you guys do?
There we go.
We can do it all. All right.
Anyway, so there you go.
Now we got the next one on the list. Should be up your alley, Mark?
Yeah, so this is kind of cool, and this I would like, if you guys are cool with it, let's get more into this kind of broader topic,
Yeah.
because the concept of music release these days is completely different from when we were kids.
Yeah, totally.
Now you see just singles being released. Sometimes you never see an entire album ever come out. You just see single after single after single, or sometimes bands are just teasing the album by releasing multiple singles over the course of months, right? Well, Billy Corgan has put a stop to that, and he in the next Pumpkins album that's coming out on August 2nd. And I don't know if I can pronounce this, Agori Mori May. I don't know, but whatever.
Nailed it.
What?
Anyway, he's saying no early releases. Album's going to drop on the 2nd, and that's it. You have to wait for it. So has music kind of, has the idea of the album and music in general, the way we consume it, has it almost been watered down in a way?
Oh,
I don't know if that's really the right term, but that's
100%.
kind of how I think about it.
I mean, as much as it, like, I don't want it to be this way, there's plenty of, like, touring bands and stuff that I talk to are like, hey, we're just traveling t-shirt salesmen, and this is the soundtrack that we play. Like, we're just trying to, because physical media
Yeah,
isn't what it was. Like,
right.
and it has just changed, and like you know, there is like no money coming from streaming and all that, and it's
Yeah.
so backwards, you know, from what it used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as putting out like singles all the time, I think that works for most pop music right now.
Right.
I think the Pumpkins are the type of band who are banking on having the fan base of like, our fans are from this generation and this era where the album was the thing, and we need to have
Yep.
that. So they're banking
Yep.
like, if we release it in a way that our fans are used to from their childhood, they'll get it. The younger, you know, teenage generation isn't probably going to buy it, but
Yep.
I don't know if they're really checking out any Smashing Pumpkins anyway right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're
Yeah,
dead
kids
on.
just don't. I mean, nobody really under the younger generation does not understand that whole, like, and there's no really way to advertise a full album and hype up an album these days,
Yeah.
unless you have a name, you know,
Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
you were an act back in the day, or
Yeah.
unless you're very popular now. There's no way to really kind of get your fans all geared up and, oh, here's a release coming out in a few weeks. Can't wait to get to the record store to buy it. It doesn't exist anymore. In that, you would think that there would be some way with streaming to kind of promote that and kind of have the idea of that virtual record store, and let me go get that album when it releases today or whenever it is. But that's just not how fans consume music these days. Most people.
Well,
Yeah,
the
I mean,
other
we're in a
part
social
too,
media world right now. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
It's all about social media. You live and die by that as an artist. So,
and with that, part of it is like, the news cycle goes so fast in that.
yep.
Right.
I remember even like a year or two ago, like some bands they put out their new record, and I'm like, oh, I bought it, I have the album's great. And like, you'd see videos of them playing on tour and be like, we just off our new record. I'm like, that record came out 6 months ago. But 20 years ago, you would say like, this is our new record. It's only 6 months old.
Yeah.
But
Right.
now you're like,
or this is our new record. We put it out 2 years ago, you know?
yeah. But now it's like,
And
this is
they're
our
still
brand new
touring
record.
on it.
It came out a month ago. People are like, yeah, but
Right.
like, there's been stuff.
Yeah, I
and
heard that. Right.
yeah, and
Yeah. No, that's a great point.
as much as I don't want to be that guy, I've caught myself like having that thought of like, what do you mean your new album? Like, what am I gonna? Oh, yeah, no, like that man. It's like they're touring like Australia right now. Yes, they had to put out the album and do like the U.S., then the U.K. and Europe, then Japan.
Right.
Now it's still new by the time they get to Australia. Like,
Right.
let them have this.
Yeah. Let them
Remember the
have
days
it.
like
Jeez,
bands
man.
would be big bands would be putting together like these, like 18-month or 2 year long tours, and and that they were touring on the new record, and that was the new record, and it just felt new for a long time.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's such a the news cycle, the speed of the attention span nowadays, like it's the scroll culture, right? Once you scroll past it, it's gone. You're on to the
It's
next
tough.
thing.
It's
and
really
so it moves just
impossible.
as fast.
So, it's interesting to me that the Pumpkins, because even like, let's go with like the Stones, even the Stones, when they put out their album last year, they, I think, released a single and teased it for a couple of months or something. Even they did that. Right. And then I don't think they released a bunch of singles. They just did that one single and then they just released it and that was it. But like for the Pumpkins to do this, yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's like, all right, good. We're not even going to mess around with that, guys. Like, you just, here it is. You like it or you don't. Have fun with it. We're not going to hype you up so much. And it's kind of interesting. So,
and I feel like that's very on brand for them
it
to
is.
be like,
yeah.
What's everybody doing? That's not for
Yeah.
us.
And like you said, Mark, I think you hit it dead on. Like they're hoping that their fans kind of come along on this. And I think they're like kind of eyes wide open on this. It's like, we have our fans, we got a good base. Let's stop messing around and just give them what they want. Right.
Well, there was a thing. So like, a few years back, me and a buddy were doing like a record label for some like local and regional bands. We were putting out vinyl records for like my band and some other bands. And we were at something where somebody was talking for like other labels and distribution. It's like an industry talk thing, right? And one of the things that the guy said, he's like, the music industry doesn't have the right formula. The like freemium phone game industry does, in that like they know that most people aren't going to spend any money, but like the fraction of a percent that will is going to spend a lot of money, and like that's who your audience really is. Like as you try to appeal to everybody, you're not going to make any headway. But if you know, like, this is our segment, who's really into it, this is how they like to purchase music, this is what they want, that's the most like successful, profitable way for your business to go.
Dead on.
That's what it sounds like the Pumpkins are doing. Like, people want the
on.
album, they don't want to get teased and dragged on, they just want to know, like, it's coming, what's release day, I want it. And like that's
know who, I love that, Mark. You know who has also done that to great success is Joe frickin' Bonamassa, right?
Mm-hmm.
He leans. You know Joe, right, Mark? Well, you're a guitar
yes,
guy.
I got that one.
Even if you don't listen to his music, you know who he is. I happen to like his music. This is like Office Space. I happen to like his music. Michael Bolton. He's the one that sucks. I happen to like his music. But he, like, you hit it right on the head. Like, that's what he does. Like, he sells effing, Hawaiian, Joe Bonamassa Hawaiian shirts. This guy knows who his audience is. It's older gentlemen. Those, Dave would wear one. It's older gentlemen that have money to burn and they want all this
Joe
stupid
Bonamassa
shit.
Hawaiian shirt. Right now.
Yeah. At one point on this podcast, we did a segment about that. Like, what should Joe Bonamassa sell next as merch?
Yeah.
Oh, this is killer. I love this one. Oh yeah. Oh wait, that's not a Bonamassa one.
But
oh man,
that's what it is though.
Add to cart.
Back scratch. My favorite was the guitar back scratcher. That's the best.
That's awesome.
The guitar. Who doesn't want a guitar back scratch?
I have to write that idea down. That's a good idea.
You're an old guy. You're got an itchy back.
Hey man, I got a back scratcher.
See,
you're
an old guy with an itchy back. Is what it is.
Okay, let me Google Joe Bonamassa back scratcher.
Talk to Rocket Music Gear. They already make those cool straps. We'll see if they can put a back scratcher in it too.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
Oh yes, that's a great idea.
I love that back scratcher built into a strap. Yeah, we should have talked to that when we talked. We should have talked to that in our strap-on episode.
Yeah, we should have. That's a great idea. Mark, I'm stealing your idea, or we're going into business together. That's
a great idea. Back scratcher. Oh my goodness! But anyway, like it's really true. To get back to the point, like knowing your audience and how to kind of squeeze, for lack of a better word, knowing how to squeeze them for everything they're worth. That's what it's about.
I mean that's for a bit. I mean, financially, that's probably the most profitable way to do it.
Yeah.
I don't care. As a business owner, I don't care for how you phrase that. 'Cause I don't feel that way.
No, well, look, to put it in a nicer way, give people what they want, right? Like
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
people what they want. Maybe they didn't know they wanted it, but they have this hunger for it. And, you're just kind of putting new and kind of cool stuff in front of them. For you as a pedal builder, that's pedals for guitar nerds.
Yeah.
And
Like,
for Joe Bonamassa fans, it's a back scratcher. It's just what
there you go.
it's what it is.
Mark, you hit on it though. Like in terms of the people that with pedals, I have to have all the pedals. It's about being a collector, and if you're a big fan of an artist, sometimes you
Oh,
just
yeah.
want memorabilia, or you want something with their name on it, or whatever it is. So people just get obsessed with this stuff.
And like
Absolutely.
you said, yeah, and like you said, like the other trend that we're seeing, it's been a trend for a long time now, is like these VIP meet and greets, all that kind of stuff, which I think is fantastic. Like, yes, it's kind of expensive, but for the people that might have a little bit disposable income, maybe they probably don't do. I doubt there's a lot of people that do like multiple meet and greets for the same artist, but if you go, it's kind of cool if you really want to meet somebody and you get a little time. Like, I think it's a brilliant idea for these artists that, like you said, they're not making a lot off streaming and their music being out there, so they got to find these other ways to do it. And I think it's really cool. Like, I would
Right.
definitely consider that for some artists if I thought it was like relatively affordable, right? So,
Well, and
that's different for everybody. Yeah.
I think it also depends. I think the level of the artist too, because like
Yeah.
I don't go to a lot of like really really big
Yeah. Big shows.
concerts to thousands of people. Like a lot of the bands I'm into will play like 1,000 cap rooms. Like they're not just not super big bands. But there was a few years ago, like my wife and I and some friends went to go see Foo Fighters play, and it's this giant amphitheater,
giant place.
and
Yeah.
you just look around and you're like, for just by like the behavior of like a lot of the people there, you're like, oh, you're not concert goers. Like,
yeah. Oh, totally.
we're just here because this is we got a sitter and this is the night out. Like,
this is what we're doing. Yeah, we could.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
And like most people, you're not going to remember tonight. Like, tonight's not about the music for you.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. That's
right. It's really a good point, and you're going to kind of segue into with another thing we talk about these like big acts and how we used to be really firm believers in like, well, they shouldn't be running tracks. People should be doing everything live. But when you think about exactly what you just said, probably the majority of people that are there couldn't care less if they're running tracks. They're just going there to have a good time. Right.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And
You're
see
right.
the real guys the real people on stage, whether they're running tracks or not, like they don't care. Right. It's like, it's what it is.
And that's the audience who's going to pay for the meet and greet and all
That's
like
right.
the extra stuff, who are like, this is my night out and we're just going to go big. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm going to one concert.
Like,
yeah. That's right.
There's like totally the regular, people who are either gigging musicians or just more casual music, or I guess not casual, more like diehard, like music fans who go to more shows who are like, oh no, I have a full summer planned. Like, I can't go all out this one time. Like,
I got a lot of shows to go to. Yeah.
I mean,
Mark, you bring this is a really good topic, and I wanted to. I think Matt and I had talked about this, and I think it's a good topic for the show. But before we get to that, because I want to know everybody's thoughts on this.
Yeah.
I just want to let our listeners know that. And sorry, Mark, close your ears. This episode of the Guitar Dads podcast is sponsored by Copper Sound Pedals, a boutique pedal company building unique effects pedals by hand right here in Massachusetts. And today we are putting the spotlight on the Kingpin, a mini two-stage FET overdrive pedal that achieves its unique gain sound by utilizing a specific pair of germanium. There's the sexy word.
Germanium. We need a sound effect.
Is good.
We need a sound effect. Germanium.
We really do. Germanium. Kingpin is good for achieving those warm rectifier sagging tones heard in Supro and Silvertone amps.
Yeah.
Whether you're looking to sound like the Black Keys or simply looking for something other than a tube screamer, you will want to check out the Kingpin. I own one. I love it. It's great. You guys would love it too. Not to mention, it's only $99, and it's a mini pedal. And as Matt and I have talked about the concept of the mini pedal, and we're all visual. And do you like the mini pedal? Do you not like the mini pedal? You're gonna love this thing. So go get a Kingpin. And as a bonus for our listeners, if you type in the code DADS10 at checkout, you're gonna get 10% off.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, Mark, you can open your ears again. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm a fan of that company. They were very helpful to me on other things when I would have to like shoot them a message about something, and they were like, "Oh yeah, totally." They're good people.
Oh yeah,
all around.
Alex is great. Yeah, Alex is going to come on again soon.
Alex is fantastic.
He's when he's been on the pod and just even off the pod, he talks a lot about helping people out and sharing materials, sharing different things, and it's great. Yeah, it, like again, like we talked about at the top, it's a good community, and he's one of the good guys for sure.
I had they had the wire cutting machine that they post videos of, and I ended up getting one of those.
Right.
But I'm trying to dial it in, but like all the instructions are like in Chinese, and I was like,
oh, no.
and I was like, hey man, what settings are you using? And he just sent me a screenshot of all of their
That's great
settings.
Oh, cool.
I'm like, you just saved me hours of headache. Like,
oh yeah, it's great. Yeah,
I can't think of another industry where like another company would be like, hey, how do you use this machinery? And they're like, oh, here's all the specs. Just
here's exactly how you use it.
Just do it like this.
No,
that's great.
A plus.
That's great example. Yeah, and Alex has been really good to us, and awesome. Copper Sound pedals. Check it out, guys.
There you go.
And the Kingpin pays homage to Candlepin Bowling, which is usually do you don't have that up in the queues, do you?
I've heard of it, but no, we've never played it. No.
So there you go. It's a kind of uniquely New England, real Massachusetts when we get down to it. But it's dwindling. It's like going extinct.
It is.
Candlepin bowling.
Save the candlepins.
Save the candlepins. It really is. Like it's really funny. It's like there's all these places and they're just like so old school, and slowly they're getting knocked down and turned into condos. And Anyway, well, there you go.
Well, if you like small pins and small balls, Candlepin is for you. Anyway, so let's move on.
Finally,
I'm not touching that one.
You're not okay.
No.
Anyway, Mark, you started to allude to this. This topic kind of interested me because I started to notice a pattern with ticket resales lately.
Oh, geez.
And, the background on this is Matt and I have been like toying with the idea of going down to see Sammy Hagar do the whole Van Halen tribute thing. It's tomorrow night. And we have tested our theory that we've had for a long time. We've tested it now twice. Once with the Rolling Stones, and then I did it when I went to Justin Timberlake. If you go on the same site you bought your tickets, you go on right at showtime, it's astronomically lower, which makes sense, right? And Matt and I have always theorized that was the case, but we've never actually tested the theory. Now that's happened twice. And I had said to Matt, let's go down to the show. Let's not buy tickets. We'll wait until the opener goes on and then we'll buy our tickets. I guarantee you they're going to be cheaper.
And the opener for Sammy tomorrow is Loverboy, which I don't really have much interest in seeing. So no offense to you Loverboy fans.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as I'm trolling around the net, looking at SeatGeek, Vivid Seats, StubHub, you name it.
Yeah.
I'm noticing the exact same seats are for sale. Now, one of two things is happening here. Either you bought your tickets and you're selling them on all these platforms. Fine. That makes sense. But they're all different prices. I don't think that's what's happening. I don't think it's, Matt bought his tickets. He can't go. So he's selling tickets and he's putting them on StubHub, SeatGeek, and everything else. I think there's something nefarious going on here.
Oh, there's totally collusion going on, and it's probably illegal.
There's total collusion.
It's illegal, and we need to get to the bottom of it. And Dave and I are going to crack this wide open.
Nailed it. I mean,
Mark, chime in. What do you think?
What I would suspect is either some organization or even the venue itself was reserving all of those seats, knowing that the upcharge on the other 10,000 seats is covering. They've already made the money, like it's already
Yeah,
covered. So
they
you
made
can
their money.
discount it to get your last minute person in there. Like
Yeah.
like anything else at the grocery store when the expiration date comes close and they're like, oh, it's marked, it's priced down to sell because we're running out of time to sell it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So
Yeah.
I mean, so is your question like who's the one doing that? Like who's dropping the price on it?
Well, not who's dropping the price, but like
who's
like
behind
how
this?
does it like
What's happening?
We expect you to know this, Gord. Like
Yes,
it's
'cause
it's a whole thing of like
Look at my tinfoil
how
hat
does-
real quick. Oh,
yeah, like how does
exactly.
how does this market work? Like what the hell is going on? It's all nefarious stuff. It's just clear.
I mean,
It's just crazy that it's legal to me. It's just crazy. So
yeah, I mean, well, there's so many.
It's not legal. They're skirting the rules.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's. I mean, the seats are available now. Like
yeah,
you could buy it for the higher price, right? Like on
Yeah.
the sites you're looking
Yeah,
at.
yeah. You buy the
There's
ticket
nothing
right now.
like
Yeah.
illegal, like they're holding it till the last minute. Like it's available.
it's
I think
it's
it's just-
available on the market. Yeah, but it's available.
But if you can see the same ticket on StubHub that you can see on SeatGeek, and it's the exact same seat, but it's different prices, what's happening there, right? So,
Well,
Yeah.
they're probably
Is-
whoever's
is there-
selling it is probably pricing it to include the fees that are needed for the various sites, right?
no,
Totally.
none of these. By the way, none of these prices that I've checked out include the fees. When you click on it, you got to go through the whole process, in which then they tack on the fees,
which are a lot.
I just think there's.
Oh, no, I'm talking
I
about
think
the
there's
seller
collusion
fee.
going up.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
seller fee. Yeah.
The seller's fees, not because they don't get anything of the buyer's fees. That goes to the
Right.
whatever
that's
site.
right.
You know,
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
But I would imagine
I
like
just think there's collusion
plenty of
between all
stores.
these
If you're
sites.
selling something on your site and you're selling it on Reverb, you're going to price it to include the Reverb fee to maximize your profit. I know plenty of stores
exactly.
do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I would
Yeah,
assume that's
I
why
think
it's
you're
on
right about that.
multiple sites.
Yeah,
But,
I think you're right about
and then
that.
once
That
the
could be
price
why.
drops, and I mean, because once the event starts, you know,
Yeah,
you're
then
not
your
going to sell it
chances are
tomorrow
low.
when
Yeah,
the event's over.
Your chances are low at that point. But it is interesting,
And they
like
just
you
want to
said.
keep you through the door because they know once you're in there, you're going to buy the $17 beer. You're going
That's
to
right,
buy
that's
the
right,
$15 T-shirt that they're going to get a cut of.
I mean,
So,
the question is it the promoters? The question that I have is it the promoters, the people that kind of are responsible for like this venue selling the tickets? Is it the promoters that make these tickets available to all these companies at the same time? And then it's like,
I mean,
it just
that I
goes to the
no
highest
idea.
bidder. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's something behind the scenes where it's like, do they give them all these tickets and they're like, here you go, guys, the highest bidder gets it. Like you said, Mark, you pay us whatever fee we want on top of this, and whoever can sell it, gets it.
Yeah,
It's
which
so
is obvious
weird.
because whenever tickets go on sale to the public, and I'm doing air quotes, there's never any tickets available that are, that where you want to sit.
It's
There's always the
crazy.
good seats are always taken or whatever. And then prices are astronomical because the resale market has hit. So there obviously we've known that's been going on for a long time, but this is something different because I haven't noticed this before. And we've bought tickets, countless times on these kinds of sites. What I'm noticing is like what I'm trying to figure out is how is it that SeatGeek and StubHub, as two examples, are selling the same ticket?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They obviously are being made available by the promoter in some shape or form, and it goes to the highest bidder, and that's just the way it is. But like to your point, how is it that as soon as something goes on sale to the public, all the seats are gone to all these scalpers? Right.
That's right.
Like, how is that actually happening? Right. So,
I mean, I know there's a lot with like bot programs that are going through and eating it up.
Yeah. But like, they can't combat that. Like, Ticketmaster can't do something against that. Like, it just seems like they're all colluding on this stuff.
I'll be honest,
want to trust
if you want to know
Ticketmaster here?
If you want to know how like silicon diodes work, I could totally talk your ear off for an hour.
Yeah, we're not expecting you to. These are
trust
like
me,
rhetorical
it is
questions.
fascinating, and you'll love it.
I'll tell you when we said when we talked about okay what night you coming on the show, we said, oh great, tonight we're going to talk about this because Mark's going to know
Mark's
the
going to
exact
know
answer
everything
to
about
this.
this. Anyway, it's something that bothers us to no end, and we're, like you said, Dave and I are going to crack this wide open. Well, we're not,
Well,
right.
but so this is what's going to
please
happen.
let me know when you do.
If the podcast just dies because we disappear, you'll know why.
That's
Because we
right.
got too close. This is like
Ooh.
a Da Vinci Code thing, you know.
It is like a Da Vinci Code thing. I like that.
That's what it is.
What happened to Matt and Dave? They got too close to the ticket conspiracy.
Oh man, Live Nation took them out.
Oh yeah,
That's right.
And
the bots are probably listening now.
I've-
Screw you, bots!
screw you, bots.
Come and get me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's definitely a bot. There's something going on. We will more
it's
more to
fun.
come on
It's fun
that
stuff.
because
It's
we
a
haven't
developing
decided.
story.
Matt doesn't know if he wants to go to the show tomorrow.
I don't want to go to freaking Mansfield. I'm too old for that.
Well,
I'm like Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon.
jeez.
I'm too old for this
They
stuff.
just made a Lethal Weapon 5.
Oh, did they? Was Danny Glover in
They're
it?
making a Lethal Weapon 5.
Oh.
So when Danny Glover says I'm too old for this shit, he really is going to be too old for this shit.
I'm like Danny Glover of concerts. I'm too old. But to Mark's point, this what it all comes down to. To Mark's point, go to the smaller venues where this shit doesn't happen as much. Go enjoy.
way
Well,
better.
it does happen.
Yeah. No, it
It
is
is way
though.
better to
It
go to a
just
smaller
is.
venue.
Sorry, it just is. So anyway,
Yeah,
there we go.
I said I'll go to a handful of of the really big shows a year,
Yeah.
and it's fine, but it's also
But isn't it- Yeah.
it's amateur hour, where and I'm like,
Yeah.
I really just want to enjoy the music, and I'm like, you just have people who are just don't have proper etiquette at a concert,
Yeah,
and you're
people are like being assholes. It's like this, that, and it's like there's too many people. The parking's always an issue. Again, I'm too old. Like, get off my lawn. I'm
the
shouting.
clouds
at the
are
clouds.
gray
The
now.
clouds-
It's a whole thing.
Not too long ago, you used to criticize me for saying
I
that.
know.
Now
I
here
know.
you come.
But it's like it's this whole thing, right? Whereas, speaking of being, a thing that's kind of anti being an old guy, I'm happy to go to a GA show at a smaller place and stand up and forget my spot and stand up there all night. I get home and I'm like dead because my legs are going to die. But I'm happy to do that and experience the show, right? So anyway,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so I want to maybe this should be like a new segment because I pretty much do this every week anyway. So this should be like a whole segment, maybe like Dave's rant of the week. I saw I took my kids to a New England Revolution game. If you don't know who that is, that's our professional soccer team, MLS, here in the States. Fake soccer. For those listening around the world who have like
listeners,
much better soccer, or South American listeners, or really anywhere
but the U.S.
but the US.
Good point.
It's. But anyway, there was a band, there was a cover band playing beforehand. It went, nearby one of the bars, and it annoyed the hell out of me. I'll tell you why, because they had a good set. But the guitarist had one guitar.
What's wrong?
And it was like some like weird it was like a weird super strat. And that's exactly what it sounded like, right? How do you span the genres that they were playing? Country and pop and all this stuff. And every time you could hear the guitar or he'd hit the solo, it was just like, Satriani was going off.
Oh, well, that's that guy's problem. That's the problem. Yeah.
I mean,
get the gear for the gig, right?
I mean,
that's what you need.
I just finished 10 years in a 90s cover band that did everything from Rage Against the Machine to Spice Girls. And
really? I didn't realize you guys. I thought you were more like 90s grunge stuff. Oh wow, okay, all right, great.
We would do we would just do from hard rock to pop to hip hop and all this crazy stuff. But part of it was again, I wasn't using Axe Effects or whatever. I was I'm using pedals and most of the ones I built, and we have to figure out a way to not make it sound like Satriani for every guitar solo.
That's right.
Right.
So, but there's a way to do it.
There's
Like,
a
you know
way
what
to
I
do
mean?
it.
Like,
Well, I think that's
yeah,
where
you had the
that like the best guys that I've seen pull that off, they all use, a really nice clean amp, right? And I know you do the same, right? You
Well,
use
what?
the
So
AC, right?
this guy was running a Carvin V3. I don't know what
I'm
those
not
would
familiar
normally
with
sound
those.
like.
Maybe,
Yeah, neither
but
have I.
but I've heard players do that, and I know that's probably what you did, right, Mark? Like you got a good clean tone, you can cover a lot of ground with that, and then all these different gain stages and other effects that you can put on, and you can do a lot with that. Like you can do a ton with it.
yeah. I mean, for most of it, I would
Yeah.
use like a guitar with humbuckers, and for any
Yep.
clean stuff, I would also switch like the middle position to get that real like glassy clean sound.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
And I would use um like a low like I've used my Gladys pedal was like a blues breaker style, like a transparent light overdrive, and then I would have
Yep.
my Gus pedal is like a hard clipping distortion, and then I would have like a big muff to use for all the fuzz stuff. And if you like
Yep.
stack those and use like also for a solo boost, I was using an Earthquaker tone job, but I wouldn't use it.
Nice.
I would just use it to boost the mids, just to kind of like even a Boss graphic EQ, same thing. Like
Sure.
that would just change the color of it, but not the volume as much.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's
just with
smart
like a
'cause-
soft clipping drive, a hard clipping drive, and a big muff fuzz, and an EQ if you need it. You can totally change enough stuff, and like
yeah.
have a wah wah pedal if you want that like cocked wah sound to really like spike and cut through for something.
Oh,
But
totally. So that's like how to do it right. Like Mark, you're describing like this is the way to do it, man.
that's how I did it. I don't know if it's right.
Great.
It worked for me.
No, but but like the point is, you don't have to have like an Axe FX or Helix to do it right. I mean, for years and years, people did it exactly the way you're describing. You have a nice clean amp and all kinds of different effects and stuff to do it right. Right now, now your life is made easier with these things. If you're a cover band person, for me, it's great because I can just dial stuff into the stomp, but I still like to use the pedals too. So that's the way it is. And but Dave, like this is like what you experienced is like, to me, it's a pet peeve of mine as well, because you got these guys that are like, oh, I'm a rock and roll guitar player. And so I join a cover band. Everything I play is going to be rock and roll. Like I'm going to play, like the thing that annoys me the most is like when they do play like when a classic band, my band plays, that play that funky music, right? Like I've seen a million bands play that funky music with heavily distorted guitars, and it drives me effing crazy. And it's like, it doesn't sound good. It's Rocky play that funky music doesn't make sense because it's a funk song in the end, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And you're playing those 9 chords, and it's like beep, 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 beep. It doesn't sound good with the distorted guitar, Just like don't do it.
No.
That's here. There's the thing too, is like if you're gonna do that, you have to like pick your shot and go all in.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Because like
yeah.
when we would play like our openings, we would open with like a rock song and like go like an alternative song, and then we'd go into Love Fool by the Carnigans, and we would play it straight, like clean guitars,
good for you,
real like chorusy effects, and like, but you weren't trying, but it was like singing falsetto, and it was like you're doing that straight, because in about an hour we're playing Wannabe by the Spice Girls, and we are distorting the shit out of it. And it's like, that's the time for that one. But
you're
like
doing a different version of the song, and you're not.
And it was like, you're going all in. Like, it's clearly like, we're not trying to like, fake it. See what it's like, oh, no, this is like, we're putting our own spin on that one. But if we did that for all the pop songs, then it's like, oh, you can't play pop songs.
It would be annoying. Yeah, it would be annoying.
Yeah,
like, look, I'm all for.
If you're going to do that, you got to call your shot and go all in.
It's like, a prime example. Like, what was that guy that did the Smooth Criminal? That band that did that kind of punkish.
Alien Ant Farm.
Alien Ant Farm. That just kicks so much. And there was another band that did a rock version of Boys of Summer, right? Like. It works like that.
The Ataris,
the Ataris.
Yep.
Thank you. And I've done that in bands too. And it's like that shit works. Like that's, but like, don't, like you said, don't have every song just have these distorted guitars. And it's like, oh my God. So it is a pet peeve of mine as well. So,
and like I've seen bands do it and do it right, and then but like it's very easy to make that look like you're compensating because you don't know how to play
because
it.
you don't know how to play the funk or whatever. Yeah, like you just
Yeah,
don't
you
have
don't.
the
Yeah, you
range.
can't do
Yeah,
how it should be. So like,
yeah.
but if you
Yeah.
if you know how to do it, and then you're like, we're doing this for fun. You're like, all right, that's in there too.
And you probably
But
seen
like,
it, you know, you've probably seen, like I've seen bands that can do clean kind of funk pop, and then the guy just, you know, then they'll do like, you know, a rock song, and the guy, you can tell like, okay, this guy's a rock and roll guitar player. It's like,
yeah,
holy crap, like this guy really
But here's
just
the thing:
killed it.
you could tell this dude was a great guitar player. He really was.
Well, that's what I'm
but
saying,
it
but just didn't have the
like
range to do what he was doing.
he didn't have the range to do what he needed to do, and it just got a little bit annoying, and you know, and which is disappointing because when you sit down and kind of want to watch a thing like that, you're looking forward to hearing, like, you know, the whole spectrum of tunes, and it just it was just the same old thing.
well,
So
I'm gonna bring this back around to Matt's hot take from earlier. I have that issue when I see like singer-songwriters all the time.
Yeah.
If I go see somebody who's just a vocalist with a guitar, first song, I'm in. Your second song, I'm like, okay, I just know where you're going. If the third song isn't immediately memorable and different than the first two, I'm kind of checked out already.
Yeah.
Just because, like, you only have those two textures, and you're kind of showing me what you can do with it. But, like, if you only have a handful of songwriting tricks, then I'm kind of like, oh, I don't remember any of your songs.
Yeah.
They all kind of just blended together by the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally agree. You know, and I think what's funny about that, Mark, this is another one of my pet peeves and my hot takes that people will yell at me about, is like, you know, back in 2000, 2001, and I'll name a few artists. One of them's KT Tunstall. There's another guy that I really love. His name was Howie Day. He had a big hit in that time frame. They did the looping, right?
Yeah.
And they were really creative, and it was the kind of first time you saw kind of how to do that. You know, Ed Sheeran, you know, has done it, and now it just seems, and it wasn't Ed Sheeran that, you know, started it, we know that, but like it's like, it's just like, it's so boring to me now. It's like, okay, so now the guy's gonna be in the bar and he's gonna bang on the guitar a few times, and it's gonna be a beat, and now he's gonna, like, you know, it's gonna 10 minutes later, they start singing a song. It's just it's enough.
Yeah, it's a party trick that once if you've seen it once, you've seen it.
You've seen it. Yeah, you know, it's like,
now the party trick that never gets old is when you can arrange band practice with 4 other members to all meet at the same night for practice, and they'll show up to the gig and play. That's an amazing trick.
That's an amazing party trick. And like, I'm not knocking people that trick. I'm not knocking people that do that. I'm knocking you a little bit because I think it's a little boring. But you know, it takes talent, it takes a lot of practice. I used to do it when I did my solo acoustic gigs, but it was in that era when not everybody was doing it. And it's like, you know, and even that, like towards the end of the time that I was doing it, like I felt like it was played out, you know, like, you know, I was trying to come up with new creative ways to do it. And I really shied away from, you know, the upfront building of a loop. And I wanted to do more like, you know, guitar solos as part of a song. So I would loop up part of the song and you kind of didn't know I was looping. And then I would come in with the solo, like that kind of stuff. I thought was a cool creative way to do it. And people still do that and it's cool. But anyway, what I'm getting at is like all these things get kind of played out over time, like literally played out. So,
that's
yeah. But you're right. You're right about the acoustic. It's tough. It's
and there are some people who do a great job who I really do like, and it's great songwriting. And
yeah,
like,
totally.
Yes, I remember that.
Oh, totally.
But there's also been a lot of times where it is like, what was your favorite song of the set? Like the 5th one, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe that one.
I don't remember.
Played more than one song.
I thought it was just one big song.
It's but if it's done right, it's great. It's just challenging to always get it there.
And I will say it is cool that guys like Ed Sheeran with one guitar and a bunch of looping tricks can fill a stadium. That's kind of cool. It you know, whether you like it or not, it's pretty damn cool that he can do that. Like I said, Zach Bryan, is filling stadiums, basically doing solo acoustic. Like, but these guys are real deal songwriters, right? Like they just are.
Yeah.
Like Noah Kahn. These guys are real deal songwriters and engage the youth in that way. And I think that's great. Like they're doing what like Neil Young did, right? And what Paul Simon did, and what, so it's awesome to see that like still happening today. It's not just like pop BS, right? Made by, Beats and all this stuff. And look, there's a place for that too. Fine, right? There's a place for that too. But it's really assuring to me that my kids want to listen to a guy with a solo acoustic guitar and they're connecting with like songwriting and lyrics and stuff. I think that's
I think that's pretty amazing.
I think that's great. I think it's great.
That's something that at least I think is kind of lost on the younger generation.
Well, it's back in full force now, man.
Not in your kids, not on my kids. So that's
it's back.
good.
Well, look, it's back in full force. The kids loved it. Like those two artists are giants right now, and that's what they're doing. Like they're writing songs with acoustic guitars. It's pretty cool. So, even though acoustic is boring, but anyway.
All right. Well, let's move on real quick because we're running short on time, and then. Mark, do you have time to stick around and do the Patreon too?
Yeah, I'm on summer vacation. I got no bedtime.
He's on summer school. It's summer school, man.
Yeah, summer. That's right. He's in summer school. All right. Real quick, because we're probably the last podcast to get to this because we didn't because we had Zach on from Mythos last week, and I don't think we did an episode the week before. But
yeah, we were busy. Sorry.
Let's move into some gear real quick.
Ooh.
What do you guys think about these new Fender Player 2s? Seem to be making the round, and they're kind of hot and cold opinions out there.
Mark's kind of a Fender guy. Yeah,
I'm a Fender guy. Yeah. I haven't played any of them yet, but from what I've seen, I do like.
Yeah, what do you like about them?
So some of the colors that I've seen, I do kind of like the palette. A lot of them do kind of harken back to like guitars I remember like when I was a kid, and I was Squire budget, and I was like, oh, but that's the cool Fender one. I want that one, but I can't do that. I was kind of neat. From what I kind of read, they're similar to like the Ventera series, I think, with like some upgrades on it.
Yeah.
I have, I don't know, 2 Ventera series guitars, I think. I have
you
a Jaguar. And
okay.
I have the Jaguar and something else. I forget what the other one was. But I liked them. I thought they were cool. So they're like, the price point is lower than the what I call professional series now is the American made series.
Yep.
A lot lower.
But
yeah, way lower.
Yeah. No, I think everything. Again, I haven't really sat down and gotten super into putting them through their paces yet, but I think they're cool.
You're right. Yeah, but you're right. They did do some of the things that are on the Ventera. I haven't really dived into these yet, but yeah, like an example, like the rolled fingerboard edges. I think that's a Ventera thing. And they're doing that. They were doing that. Yeah, and they're doing that now on these Player 2s. Definitely different colors, definitely, I don't know if the pickups are totally different. They're probably generally the same, but there's different configurations you can get now. But which colors do you like, and which models do you like?
Put me on the spot. I gotta look it up here. The green one was.
We love.
I have a thing for green guitars. That's like.
Oh, okay. You're a green guitar guy.
Oh, that's your thing. All right.
I like it.
And that like.
What shade of green?
Are
you like a drab kind of green, like olive kind of.
I do love the olive drab. My very first guitar was a Squire Affinity Strat, but it was a British racing green.
Oh, cool!
And that I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I see the green now. It's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little. It is kind of drabby, but
it is kind of drabby.
I don't know. I remember that was like in the 90s, early 2000s, like that. I think was, or at least in my mind, that was like the green on that model. That I was like, oh, that kind of takes me back.
It's called birch green. That's what they're calling it. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I love the the aquatone blue, I think
Yeah,
is what they're calling there.
that
That I also think is super cool.
I was going to call out the aquatone blue. It kind of reminds me of the Miami blue that they were doing on the professional twos, but it's like a little bit less kind of flashy than that. It's pretty aquatone blue. It is pretty nice. I do like it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, the greens and blues, like all of those like surfy colors that they do on fenders. I think
they're badass.
I can't play surf to save my life, but I think they look super, super cool.
Yeah, the Jazzmaster is cool looking. So that's the thing. Like, I love the look of the Jazzmaster, but it just doesn't like appeal to me as a guitar.
Well, this Jazzmaster though, they kind of got rid of the rhythms. They did get rid of the rhythm circuit on this thing.
Yeah,
oh, is that right?
So is it really a Jazzmaster, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
right?
It's a jazz faker. It doesn't have the
jazz faker.
It's not a Jazzmaster.
But I mean, I have a couple Jazzmasters, but
yeah,
I've always just taken a piece of tape and taped up that switch so I don't bump into it. Like, I don't need that.
Yeah. No, these are cool. Like,
yeah. Well, so what attracts you to the Jazzmaster? The shape and the feel, and so you just don't. You're not going to use the rhythm circuit anyway. So you.
Yeah, I mean, I have. I think one of them's over there. I like the Jazzmaster had, it's the big soap bars. Originally, somebody was like, when I was learning, they were like, oh, they're great for pedals because they're very clean and very bright, and you can hear it. Like, oh, so I bought into that. And then once I got it, I was like, oh, I do actually really like getting into it. And when you start playing with gain stacking and more like my original band stuff, that's more like punky, post-hardcore, loud rock stuff, you can get some real cool feedback with those single coils.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
makes sense.
Big guitar. It's heavy. It has that longer scale length versus like the Jaguar that has like the short one. And I don't know, it's the way it's curved. I'm like, it's very comfortable to play. So I'm like, I do like that. Yeah. One of mine, I did end up swapping out the pickguard for one with humbuckers, so I could use it in other bands that needed that fatter sound than the stock ones. But nice. I'm a Jazzmaster guy. I like those.
The colors are cool. I'm looking at the Telecaster now. Transparent cherry is pretty nice. I don't know.
Well, and even
you can see right through it.
Yeah, the Telecaster HH. I only have this one right here. Like, that's just a smart thing because they know that people love tellies, but a lot of modern rock music, you need a humbucker.
Oh yeah,
that's right. Like, and I posted in Facebook group Akatar Dad's podcast, by the way, a question of the day the other day. Like, was this in Threads? It might have been Threads. It is the Telly like the be all guitar, right? Because it can kind of do it all. People love the shape, and like you said, you put a couple of you throw like dual humbuckers in the thing, and it's a rock machine,
But people even can get good rock tones out of single coil, right? I mean, maybe you're not doing metal, but you can get pretty good rock tones out of it. So
depending on what you're using it for, and what sound you're going for and what style, but like. Tellies are also they're cool. Like when I was getting into playing guitar and like, first kind of getting into the whole community as like a teenager, I remember being like, it seemed like people who were into Tellies were like in the club.
Yeah.
Everybody had a cool Telly to share. There was like stock, and then they had a super modified Telly.
Oh yeah.
And then you got guys who were into like a very specific year, like, oh, it's got to be the 62 because it has the binding. Or it's got to be like the custom 72. And you're like, man, it's like, that's a whole world unto itself.
Oh,
like, you're a guitar guy? Oh, no, you're a telly guy.
Yeah.
Like, you're very...
Yeah. You go deep
it's like
into
you're into like one specific dog breed. Like, that's the one thing that you're like super into.
Oh, yeah.
But you know everything about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is. It's one of those guitars where people are just super into them. Yeah. It's great. It's awesome. Cool.
Well, we are coming up on time, so I just want to thank Mark for coming on and taking the third chair tonight. We had some fun, and we're going to take this thing over to Patreon right now. So Before I let Mark shout out all the socials and everything else, let me just tell you guys, if you want to support the show, go over to patreon.com/Guitar Dads Podcast, where you can get an extra episode each week. Be sure to check us out at Guitar Dads Podcast on Instagram and Threads and X and all that. Find us on YouTube. Please subscribe, review, all that stuff. It helps all the channels. We would greatly appreciate it. And of course, don't forget to check out, it's still going on, the rattlesnake cable giveaway.
Oh, yes.
Hank was so generous enough to run another giveaway for you guys. So if you want to win two 15-foot rattlesnake cables, guys, you are going to hear, we said it on the show, Hank was on the show, and we are definitely believers that this is the best tone you're going to hear out of your guitar through these cables.
Agreed.
So look out for one of our posts on any of the platforms and make sure you click the link to get into the contest. And there you go.
That's it.
Mark, why don't you shout one more time about summer school and give us all the socials and everything else.
Summerschoolelectronics.com. It's kind of our hub for everything. Our Instagram at Summer School Electronics. That's probably the best way to get in touch with me. I have our Facebook. I think we got a TikTok too. I think we're on Threads, but Instagram's where I live.
So
and you
many
can probably get hold of
Mark, tell us. Hey, Mark, tell us in, I don't know, 20 seconds, highlight one of your pedals. Just talk about what it does.
Oh, well, okay.
Like we did.
Our latest,
another.
Yeah,
spot.
we're gonna give you a spot.
All right. Our latest one is the class reunion. It came out this past April, and it's 2 pedals in one. One side is our version of a 90s Russian Big Muff, and it's in parallel with our Trash Panda, which is just sort of an all-purpose overdrive.
Nice.
So because they're in parallel, you can blend between the two. So you could, instead of getting all fuzz or all drive, you could get 60% fuzz and 40% drive, or vice versa. Each side has its own drive control, tone control, and diode selection. So this thing is as much fun to play
awesome.
By itself or in a band.
So cool.
Yeah, you get
Nice.
it. Just as I'm quality control testing, every one I plug in, I just write a new riff, because you turn one knob and it's like a totally new pedal. So
that's great.
Those are available on our site and on Reverb and at all our dealers right now.
Awesome, Mark. Great.
Very
Check
cool.
it out, guys.
I got my sales pitch down.
Nice
There's
work.
your sales pitch. All right, boys, let's take this thing over to Patreon and turn this thing into a disaster. Because that's what Patreon is all about.
It gets crazy over there.
We can loosen up. It gets crazy. We have a lot of fun. All right. For now, I think that was this week's Guitar Dads podcast.
That's it. Mark, thanks again. We'll see you over on Patreon.
Thank you.
That's it, everybody. We'll catch you.